Hey, hello, and welcome. I am thrilled to have you here today so that I can talk about my very favorite subject, which is food. So, on today's call, I'm going to introduce you to CaliFIT Body, the diet, and we're all going to embrace that Southern California lifestyle. In today's training, what I'm going to cover is the diet itself. What does it look like? Why did we create it? Why we created it? What are the pillars, the benefits, what foods to avoid, 5 fit food habits that you can start to install today. And then I'm going to make you an introduction to the ultimate power couple as I pull it all together at the end. Now, first things first, we have to talk about the power of food. Now, for me, I firmly believe that the foods that we eat are not only our energy, they're not just calories, they are information for your cells. And once you start to upgrade this area of your life, then all of the other areas will start to come along with it. I do believe that eating is going to change not only the way that you eat is not only going to change the way that you look on the outside, but the way that you feel on the inside. It is the beginning to you living your best life in your best body year round, is to pay attention to the food that we eat. So when it comes to the CaliFit Body, the diet, now I have for years I've called it the food snob diet, but really it's a lifestyle, and it's an upgrade. So it's in a lifestyle, and it's centered around the idea and the pursuit of how you can be your best self. It is 100% inspired by the vibrant, health conscious, sunny Southern California lifestyle that I was surrounded in for over 20 years. Because I've spent decades studying diets, trying my own diets. I've been on the pursuit of the perfect diet for years. And when I was able to live in Southern California and start to put all these pieces together, that is really when I was able to come up with these concepts and to put it into an actual diet, a philosophy. So Southern California is known for its endless summers, where looking and feeling your best year round isn't just an aspiration, it's a lifestyle. And that is exactly what I wanted to create. I wanted to create a diet that we could step into year round, that instead of being in pockets where it looked really good in one season, but then spent a season where I was just gaining weight and not doing all the things that I needed to do to stay healthy, because quite frankly, there were two extremes. So I have had many diets over the years that got me the outward look that I wanted, but they were too hard to sustain, or that got me the way that I looked, but I didn't feel good on the inside. So what I did was study all sorts of diets and finally come up with my own philosophy. So very much inspired by the Mediterranean diet, which is widely discussed as one of the most heart healthy diets. Then I started to pull in other elements of other diets to bring me to the place where I am today. So Mediterranean, inspired by Southern California, influenced by paleo, guided by gluten free, and that's really where we came to the CaliFit Body, the diet. Now, before I dive into all the pillars, if you don't know me already, my name is Heather May, and I am a co-founder and lead nutrition coach for CaliFit Body, along with my husband and partner, Tony Brown, who is our master trainer. So if you don't know us, it's a pleasure to meet you, and I can't wait to get to know you more and to tell you more about this concept, which is CaliFit Body, the diet. So let's get into the pillars first and foremost. We start paleo, gluten-free. We're going to mind your P's and your Q's, and then hit it with some minimal sugar. So like, if I were to just boil it down to 4 major pillars, this is what it is. So we start in this swing of paleo to gluten-free. This is where a low inflammation diet really starts. Remember, I'm influenced, yes, by the Mediterranean diet, which has this emphasis on whole grains. But when I started to look at what does longevity look like, what does feeling my best look like, then I really wanted to pull in and be influenced. I really was influenced by paleo and gluten-free. So for me personally, I have been gluten-free for well over 2 decades. But when we talk about bringing in paleo started to have this conversation about food quality. So we start here with this pillar of a swing between paleo and gluten-free. This is where a low inflammation diet starts with a focus on carbohydrates. We swing between gluten-free and grain-free. And I'll get into each one of these pillars a little bit more in some slides that follow. But then we go into minding our P's, and our P's stand for our protein and plant. So it's a protein and plant focused diet. We have high quality proteins and a variety of plants on your plate. Then the cues, quality and quantity. So calories count. When we are looking for ourselves, our bodies to perform and look a certain way, calories do count, but where they come from counts even more than that. And that's where the quality comes in. And then minimal sugar. So right here, I'm talking about added sugar, and I want this to be at the forefront of your thought, because with added sugar brings a wave of health issues, and keeping this one thing in check will have massive, massive health benefits and aesthetic benefits across the board and for years to come. So, why these four pillars come together to create the benefits, right? And the benefits are they improve your whole life. That was what we wanted to do when we came up with these concepts. We wanted to not just improve your diet, we wanted to improve your whole life. And the goal of the CaliFIT Body is to help you live your best life in your best body without extremes, and to be able to do it year round. So, here's how we do that. Here is how the benefits show up. Number one, they show up on the scale. The quality of foods that you eat in the right quantity are going to have the biggest impact on your weight. So, whether or not you're weighing yourself today, we can just know that this is going to impact body composition. This is going to impact body fat. This is going to impact our ability to put on lean muscle mass, really healthy tissue. And the second way that it benefits us is from our gut. So, we knew and we have come to understand that the gut is where everything starts. So if we don't put an emphasis on eating healthy and healing the gut, then our other efforts that we make along the way are not going to be as impactful. Literally, they're not going to be absorbed into the body. So we do have a focus on healing and optimizing your gut health through food and lifestyle. And we do it through the pillars that we already laid out, and then the steps and the things that we're going to avoid. This is our key right here. Next up is that we're going to have an impact on sleep. So what we have come to understand is that sleep, where does sleep fit in a conversation about nutrition? Like, it is the limiting factor. So we place sleep at the top of the list for behaviors crucial to long-term health. So that it, again, when it comes to, like gut, like we're talking about how do we get at the baseline, and the baseline things that we need to address are: is our gut health in check? Are we sleeping? And how's our stress managed? Because if we're not getting the sleep that we need, we fully understand now that the efforts that we make, again, are not going to be as impactful. It may have zero impact. So when we talk about a whole life standpoint and how sleep impacts nutrition and sleep impacts our fitness, we cannot not discuss this. This is not just something nice that we have. It absolutely becomes our limiting factor to long-term health. And in the same conversation, we start to talk about stress. So lack of stress is one indicator. It is one thing that causes stress. Lack of sleep is one thing that causes stress. So we really do want to have a holistic conversation about all the areas of stress and the stress management. And that really does look like figuring out where stress is impacting you, at what time stress is highest in your life, and then not purposefully adding more external stress onto you. So understanding that there can be moments when your diet itself is stressful, whether that is a high inflammation diet or whether it's a low calorie diet. Both can be felt as stress inside the body. And then we want to talk about adding exercise to that. So exercise is also a stress. Now the outcome of that stress is a positive adaptation. But if we again look at the holistic conversation of what your life looks like from a stress component, and if we're not sleeping, if we are exercising a lot, if then we put onto that bucket, if we say, okay, let's also put you in a calorie deficit, we understand how this has gone overboard in the stress department, and our body won't do anything but hold on to exactly where it is because it's in a state of fight or flight. So it's not in a state of rest and digest and able to make adaptations. It's just holding on. So within this, these are the benefits of working and implementing the CaliFIT Body, the diet, the lifestyle. Now let's dig into it just a touch more, and we're going to start here again, remembering we're influenced by the Mediterranean and the Southern California lifestyle, but when we come and we have a conversation about paleo versus gluten-free. So yes, 100%, we're inspired by a paleo lifestyle, where the emphasis in the paleo lifestyle comes from food quality. Okay, it starts to talk about, the main concept is that you're having whole and unprocessed foods in your diet and you're removing anything that's not. So the focus then becomes on quality first and then quantity second. And then just a quick just reminder, or just so when it is paleo, when something says it's paleo, it is grain free. And when it is paleo, it is always gluten free. Now, when it's gluten free, those are grains that do not have the protein gluten. And for some examples of that are rice and quinoa. I also put corn into this grain category. So rice and quinoa and corn. But when something is gluten free, it does not automatically mean that it's paleo. So paleo, think grain free, and gluten free is just literally the protein gluten free. All right, moving on here, let's talk about the cues. So when I talk about quality, some of the things that you will start to look for on a label or the conversation around that item is that you might see things like organic, grass-fed, wild-caught, seasonal, clean, and limited ingredients. These are the things that I'm talking about when I'm talking about quality. So you really do want to try to look for the best that you can afford, the best that you can find in all areas. Slowly start to move quality up. And when you're shopping, when you're looking at labels or when you're making choices, I really urge you to just start slowly working your way up the scale on quality. And at first, I'm not even asking you, not to have things, not to exclude things, but if you're going to have it, try to make it the best possible version of that item. So then, in second, when we talk about our cues, it's quality and then it's quantity. So when we talk about quantity, really, what we are talking about really is calories and macros. Now, I'm not going to go in depth into the calorie and macro conversation, but I am going to just start with a little education on it. So calories are going to be very personalized to you. Your baseline calories are going to be calculated using various calculations, but the overall calculation gets you to the point where we're using your age, your height, your weight, and your sex as our baseline. And then we add into that your daily activity, not your exercise activity, just like how busy are you in a day? Do you sit at a desk, or are you a factory worker? Like, what is your daily activity outside of exercise? This is going to give us a calorie estimate. And within that estimate, it is just that. It is an estimate, a predicted estimate of how many calories your body needs to sustain right where it is. So that we work off of that. And then if we want, based on our goal, if we want to lose weight, we subtract calories from that. And if we want to gain lean muscle and to actually come into a metabolic stage, then we would then add calories to that. We'll talk all about that at a different point. This was just your base. So once I have my base amount of calories, the macronutrients is where we divide our calories up. So if you're not counting or tracking macros, you're not doing this purposefully, but this is how our calories are counted. So they're divided into protein. Here, I have a guide for us, fat and carbohydrates. So I want us to start focusing on protein first. The protein range that I recommend, that is, I call it our fit-minded macros. The protein range would be, you would take 0.7 up to 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight. And if you're more than 50 pounds over your desired body weight, then you would estimate it based on your desired body weight instead of your current weight. So that is one estimation. And then from there, we would figure out how much fat and how many carbohydrates. And the conversation is very nuanced, but I will say the range that I like to keep my clients in my fit-minded macros is between 20 and 35% of fat, and then carbohydrates between 30 and 50% of fat, based on your body type, based on your activity, and based on the exercise phase that you're in. Okay, that is just a brief touch on this. I could do an entire class and training on calories and macros, and I will do that in the future. So next, we're going to come and have the conversation about the P's. So our P's are, remember, protein and plants. So I want you to start asking yourself two questions when you're putting your plate together. Where is my protein and where are my vegetables, right? Where are my protein? Where are my plants? And why we talk about why quality protein is important is because the value of protein within the body is immense. Protein plays a huge role in growth and repair. It also plays a role in creating enzymes and hormones that have countless needs within the body. And also, when you're having a diet that is focused on protein, you're going to help to aid in weight loss and satiety. So when I'm asking you to include a focus and to really pay attention on protein, I would be doing you a disservice if we didn't have a conversation also about quality of protein. So the protein for protein's sake is not for you to just eat as much protein as you can and find that from cheap sources. I want you to really pay attention first to quality, and then we start to talk about quantity as the secondary. But quality first, especially when it comes to protein. So I really do want you looking for the best possible options. That looks like no nitrates, no preservatives. You really are, avoid cheap deli meats at all costs. Not only are they filled with a lot of additives, they are not as nutrient dense as we want them to be, and also they've been correlated with some types of cancer. So when you're looking for deli meats, it has to be the highest quality. You really do want to make sure that it is nitrate free, no preservatives or low on preservatives, low sodium when possible. So again, you're looking for those options where it's grass fed, wild caught, organic when possible, when it makes sense. High quality proteins have to be that focus. And then when we talk about plants, so when you combine quality proteins with an emphasis on heart healthy plants, vegetables, and seasonal fruits, then what you have is a recipe for year-round fit body, for a year-round fit body. And that is the goal. That we want to come out of the extremes of just looking good in the summer and then going into hibernation all winter. Like, we want to come into the middle and like, how can we sustain this fit body, this lifestyle year round? And when we do shift our focus into increasing quality, focusing on protein and plants, we are going to get ourselves there. It's going to make the job so much easier. So we encourage you to aim for 5 to 7 cups of vegetables and 1 serving of fruit a day. So 5 to 7 cups of fruits and vegetables, but make that the fruit element around 1 serving a day. Now, the easiest way for you to knock this out is to leverage a smoothie and a salad strategy. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in the months to come, because I believe next month is our 5 to 7 challenge. And the way that you make this really easy is 1 big salad. I call it the big ass salad. Eat 1 big ass salad a day, and that's going to get you that 4 cups of vegetables, and then you're 2 cups away from the rest of your target. So I would do a big ass salad, and then I would also have a smoothie. So within my smoothie, I'm always aiming to make my smoothie green. So that's a huge handful of spinach, a huge handful of kale, one or the other, and then my serving of fruit happens in my smoothie. So I've got my 5 to 7 done in an easy smoothie and salad strategy. I'll talk more about that in the weeks to come. Now let's talk about the foods that I want you to limit. So we want to limit processed foods. That looks like big brands, big boxes, and if it's coming in a box in a can, it has been processed. Now, I live in the modern world. I live in the everyday busy world, just like you. We're not going to avoid all processed foods. We want these to be limited. Then, when it comes to added sugar, this is again something that is the pillar of this CaliFIT body, the diet, the pillar of the food snob diet and lifestyle, is that we really do want to pay attention to added sugar, and it really does hide everywhere. So some things may be obvious, sweet things. You're like, obviously this has added sugar in it, but it's probably going to have more than you even realize. So that muffin from the coffee shop is going to have 20 to 30 grams of sugar in it. An average a real soda, like a real sugar soda, has probably 20 to 30 grams in one soda. Our flavored drinks from the coffee shop, those are all super high in sugar, and so we really need to pay attention to limiting this. And the target that I set on this is an upper limit of 20 grams for women and 30 grams for men. So it's not zero added sugar, but it really is limited, and you have to be thoughtful. The next thing I want you to limit is alcohol. So again, limiting, not taking it out, but beer, wine, mixed drinks, these are all filled with a lot of calories. They're filled with a lot of sugar, and ultimately they're going to prevent you or slow down your ability to approach your goal, because not only are we talking about the calorie option or like the calorie impact, but alcohol really does stop all other processes from happening in the way of metabolism, in the way of burning fat when it's present in the body. So it's not just the calories for calories' sake, like for keeping track of numbers, but it also prevents the metabolism from it'll stunt your metabolism while it's in while your body is processing it. So if you are not to your weight goal, or if you are looking to have a physique goal, limiting or removing alcohol during that period is going to be really powerful for you. And then dairy, finally. So again, not to remove it, but to limit dairy. And that looks like really processed cheeses and dairy products. I want this to be highly limited. So in the conversation of limit, so that looks like an 80%. 80% of the time, we're keeping these things limited or removed from the diet. Now, in the other 20% of the time that you're going to enjoy these items, I want you to start to upgrade the quality, so that when you are having potato chips, you're having like the best potato chips that you can buy. Same thing for all your sweets and desserts. Make sure it's worth it. So when you are bringing it into your diet and you have that first bite, if it's not a hell yes, this is so good, then pass, because you want to really upgrade. Same thing when it comes to beer and wine. Make sure it's your favorite beer, your favorite alcohol, your favorite wine, and you really sit down and enjoy it. And when it comes to dairy too, I'm a big fan of, really nice cheese, but there's a complete difference between the way that a really, a good cheese from the cheese department is made, and the way that it's cared for and the ingredients put into that, versus something in the deli case like the craft and the slices and the shredded process. So when you are picking up dairy, you're looking for boutique. When it comes to cheeses, organic, please, you're choosing organic whenever possible. Now that the four big things that you're going to limit into your diet, let's give you 5 fit food habits that you can start to implement today. All right. So number 1, make food at home. So as much as possible, try to make as many meals as at home as you can. Now, some of you may live in really great cities. Like I know we in West LA, we had access to amazing restaurants, amazing healthy restaurants, and healthy grocery stores where we could get so many healthy prepared meals. And if you have that and you have that accessible to you, please leverage that. But if you do not, making food at home is going to be your best bet. You're in control of all of the ingredients. You're in control of the oil that you add to the pan. You're in control of the sauces that get added. So please, as much as possible, start to make more meals at home. Now, making meals at home goes right along with the eat and repeat strategy. Eat and repeat and meal prep also go hand in hand. So I leverage a meal plan. I can give you access to. You already have access to meal plans. That's something that we highly encourage, that you use the meal plan. So I have created a 24 menu food snob meal plan that has two menus for every month of the year. Now, the reason that I do this is because I know and understand it is hard work to make meals in advance. So you need to leverage the strategy of meal prep. So if you're going to make food at home, make it so that it can last you a couple meals. Make it worth that time and that cleanup and that effort. I leverage a meal plan to make that happen. I eat and repeat. I'll use one meal plan for 2 weeks, and I just make every meal. I prep it in advance and put it in the refrigerator. And I'm going to tell you, I am just like you. Meal prep is never on my list of things that I want to do, right? Like I never have enough time to do it. It's not like this super fun process, but what it does is set me up for an entire week and set our house up for an entire week of eating healthy. And it's easy. It's eating healthy with ease, and that is the key. So make food at home. Establish an eat and repeat pattern. That means finding meals that you like to eat throughout the week and just eat it and repeat it. Make a big batch, eat and repeat, have it prepped and ready to go. Adopt that 80% purpose, 20% pleasure. So you've heard this before. I'm not the first one to talk about this, but it really does. When I put it in these terms of purpose and pleasure, then I really understand it more. So, and the way that I like to leverage this strategy is I love food and I love eating out. I love going out and having that full dining experience. I love going to new restaurants. And from the moment I sit down, I'm like, appetizer, cocktail, salad, full meal. We're having dessert. Like, I want to enjoy it. And the reason I can do that is because I spend 80% of the time eating really healthy. And for me, that looks like Monday through Friday, I stay on my menu and I eat just really eat functional, right? Doesn't mean that my food it doesn't taste good. I still enjoy it, but it's not filled with pleasure. It's very purposeful. My macros are in check, okay? I'm not having extravagant sauces and I'm not having over an abundance of fat and oil or cheese. I'm eating really functional in a way that makes my body feel amazing, which is key, which is the basis of how this all got started, right? I didn't just want to look good on the outside. I wanted to feel good on the inside. I wanted to feel good after every single meal and not just occasionally. So I eat purposefully 80% of the time. And then I'm going to go out on Friday night, or I'm going to go out on Saturday night, or I'm going to have brunch on Sunday morning, right? But the rest of those meals, 80% of my meals, are really purposeful. So I can enjoy the 20% even more. And then protein is king. We've talked about this. Protein becomes, again, once we start to talk about quality and we've upgraded quality and then we focus on what protein becomes king, I really do want you to start looking at, have I had enough protein? And it actually is shocking how few people are eating the right protein amount. So there is a protein amount that will prevent you from being deficient, and then there's an optimal protein amount, right? So I want you to optimize your protein intake, and that will take you some figuring out and some stair stepping, moving towards that goal of what is optimal for you. But I really do want you to start to have that habit that protein is king, and you're looking for your protein in your plants in every meal. And then that comes right into that fifth habit, which is a smoothie or a salad a day, and even better, a smoothie and a salad every single day. All right, so now I'm going to put it all together for you. So we want to introduce, or I'm going to introduce you to the ultimate power couple. And the ultimate power couple is fit food and fitness. So how it all works together. So this is just going to be a quick overview to let you know that your relationship between fitness, fit food, and fitness, your results are dependent on this relationship. So you can work out, and I have experienced this. You can work out for hours and never really make the change that you want to see in your body. And you may have experienced this in the past too, that you or perhaps even mentally, you don't know, like you're like, I work out so I can eat. So you never actually get to anywhere with the workouts. Like, you don't get ahead. You're just always kind of at that net zero. So this is where you're not properly paying attention to your nutrition intake. And alternatively, you can eat perfectly you can eat perfectly, start to see weight drop on the scale, but then you don't have the physique that you desire. So this is that process where it says, where we get into like the skinny fat, like where you're not properly leveraging your strength training. You're maybe doing all of the work, all of the calories out coming from your cardio and decreasing your calories in. But then what we have done is set yourself up so that the physique and the metabolism are not where it needs to be. So because you're not leveraging your strength training, your lean muscle mass has decreased. So you may look slimmer, or you may actually weigh less on the scale, but the physique, the actual look of your body is not what you truly desire. You don't have that, nice plump look with your muscles. Yeah, and that's because this relationship is key to your results. Fit food and fitness. Now here are just three quick lessons to get you through and to get you started. Number one, the goal dictates the relationship that you have. So some common goals that we have when it comes to your fit life, the way that you want to look, is that you want to lose weight, right? You want to lose weight on the scale. Another goal is that you want lean muscle or performance. I call this the metabolic stage. Like, this is when you want to work on your metabolism. And the end result of working on your metabolism is an increase in lean muscle or a performance goal. And then there's the goal of weight maintenance. This is just saying, I want to stay the same. Like, I don't want to lose weight. I don't want to gain weight. How can I stay the same? So the goal dictates this relationship. It dictates whether we're eating more calories, eating less calories. It dictates whether we're having more strength training or more cardio, what that looks like. So we start by figuring out what the goal is. And then we come into the macros. So when we start with the goal, that dictates the relationship. And then if we go even nuanced even more and say that the macros matter, we are always going to start with the protein. So start with the protein, right? And so we go more for weight loss and less for performance. And I'll tell you quickly why we do that is more for weight loss, because eating a higher protein intake is going to help us stay satiated longer, and it actually has it's like burning more calories in the body. So we want to increase our protein intake. Now remember, calories are divided into 3 categories. So when we put more in one category, it takes from the other 2. So when we come into performance, and I say, yeah, when our goal is performance, let's say a half marathon, or let's say a triathlon, or let's say even like a strength goal, like we're looking to hit our PRs with our bench press or our squats or something along those lines, I'm going to have our protein slightly adjusted down, and I'm going to push those calories into carbohydrates, which are going to be our powerhouse to help fuel all that performance. Again, this whole topic is something that we can cover in more depth in a later conversation, but just quickly to understand, the goal dictates the relationship between the power couple of fitness and fit food, and macros matter. We're always starting with protein. If your goal is to lose weight, I want you higher on that scale, and if your goal is to focus on performance, slightly lower in that range. And remember the range, 0.7 to 1.5 grams per pound of body weight. The final tip here is just this: don't stay the same. What this means is you don't want to stay in the same goal or phase for the entire year. Often will have you in, like, you will come with the goal of being in a weight loss phase, and that you want to lose weight. You've had that weight loss goal and weight loss mindset for years. But what I want to do, to encourage you to do, is to shift out of that. So even if you are in a weight loss phase and we come and we put a time limit on that, and for me, I like to put you in a weight loss phase no more than 8 weeks. And after a weight loss phase, then we need to come back to one of these other phases. Either we need to enhance metabolism in a lean muscle or performance phase, or we need to go into a maintenance phase. But the point is that we don't stay in one taxing phase for the entire year, unless of course the phase is weight maintenance, then we could do that. But mostly we have these other goals here. And when we do that, when we come in and out of phases, we're going to avoid plateaus and we're going to avoid burnout by adjusting our goals, adjusting our workouts, our intensities, and our targets throughout the year. Now I want to just give you a real quick tip on what exactly to eat and when. So just a little help when it comes to pre-workout meals and post-workout meals. So timing isn't going to be the highest priority, but it is nice to have an idea of what you should eat before a workout and what is best to eat after a workout. So when you are having a pre-workout meal, this is a meal that's happening 60 to 90 minutes before your workout. You want to think low fat, low fiber, high carbs, moderate protein. Low fat and fiber, not because these things aren't great, they are great, but we don't want them sitting in our stomach. So we want to be, have a kind of clear stomach, but all the fuel available to the cells. High carb is going to get us there. Moderate protein. An example would look like oatmeal and eggs, 1 banana and just a piece of turkey like rolled up, or some chicken breast, some Greek yogurt, organic of course, and berries, and then a protein bar and a peach just for a little bit of extra carbohydrates there. And then when we talk about post-workout, when I talk about post-workout, I mean immediately, like within that 30-minute window, this is your post-workout. You want around 20 to 30 grams of protein, around 20 grams of carbohydrates, and this is a range just right around here. Lower fat and lower fiber also in this meal. We want everything to just get into the cells as quickly as possible. I love liquid nutrition after a workout. I find that to be best. For me, I grab a protein shake, not a smoothie here. This is when I'm just using water, protein powder, shake it up, and I have a piece of fruit. This is going to help me replenish, shut down that stress response, and then start to rebuild, give my cells all the like hydration from the water and then also the protein to get into the cells and really start to repair, have all of that available to my body as quickly as possible. One other note here before we wrap it up is if you are an early morning trainer, like if you work out first thing in the morning and you don't want to eat before that workout, totally fine. Know that the meal you have for bed, so the dinner time meal, your dinner, is the fuel that you will use for your workout in the morning. So pay close attention to what that looks like. Make sure it has enough carbs in it, that it's balanced enough so that when you wake up in the morning and you head straight to your workout, that you have all the fuel waiting for you so that you can have a killer workout in the morning. Now, just to recap, CaliFIT Body, the diet, is truly about living a lifestyle. It is your path to living your best life in your best body year round, every single year. The pillars swing between a paleo and gluten-free style. We're inspired by our P's, that's our protein in our plants, also by our Q's, quality and quantity, and we are minimizing and avoiding added sugar as a priority. We limit our exposure to packaged, processed sugar, dairy, and alcohol. And when we choose those items, we are choosing the very best that we can get our hands on. And then finally, we were introduced to the power couple. The ultimate power couple is fit food and exercise, and they play together to create your results. So keep that relationship really strong. That is it for today. I hope that this was super informative. And when questions come up, please reach out to me, comment below, or send me a message, and I am happy to help. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I cannot wait to connect with you next week.